I really haven't cared about how I look, how much I weigh, how much this, that. The men that I have dated, I feel like are the men that I have had the most fun with when I haven't tried. And when the men that I have dated, when I look myself or like, feeling myself, those are the guys that always want me to be dressing up, go hiking with them. Like, yeah, I'm down to go hiking, but I live unapologetically myself.
Welcome to Viewpoints, where being a woman is not one size fits all. Let's be real, we may share gender, but we are completely different. We have different backgrounds, different battles, different aspirations, but that's what makes it interesting. Today, we're bringing together women from all walks of life to talk about the different things that we experience, where we align and where we collide. It's gonna get raw, so let's get uncomfortable. I believe that men and women will never be equal. 3, 2, 1.
Well, my knee-jerk reaction was we will never be equal, but my second thought was I think men and women are equal in value because we're all people. Now, will society ever recognize that? I think that's a little more complicated, but as a woman, I would like to start my day saying I already am equal in value to you, and society needs to catch up.
I just think there are inherent differences to being a woman and man, but then I think gender is not binary, so it's kind of hard for me to,
I feel like this is the dream scenario, which is I want to be optimistic that will become a reality one day, but there's so many people and there's so many different opinions, and I don't know if anybody will ever get on the same page fully.
I'm older than most people here, and so I've seen a lot of, through the decades. I remember being on the picket lines in the 80s, fighting for women's rights, to now having to start all over again. And it seems every time we make a stride, we just get pushed right back. Women are now dying in childbirth because doctors won't treat them because a non-viable fetus is worth more than the woman's life. I just see more and more of us just going back 50 years.
Yeah. Motherhood is the most fulfilling part of being a woman. 3, 2, 1.
I take back what I said about getting on the same page.
I'm actually shocked right now. Wow, this blew my mind. Okay, well, I have to hear. What are your thoughts on this?
No, I personally don't plan on being a mother. I want to see the world. I want to see my dreams come true. And I'm not saying that children take that away from me. It's just not in my plans. Why should I have to?
I definitely plan on being a mother. It's something that I've always wanted, and it's always been deep in my soul. But I know that whether or not I do, it doesn't make me any less of a woman. And someone like Anna choosing to not doesn't make her any less of a woman. I think that it's something beautiful that only women can do, but it doesn't define us.
I knew my entire life I didn't want children. It's not because I hate kids. I don't. I think I'd be a horrible mother. I'm great with animals. But people are different, and women should not be forced to. And our value should not be based on it. I mean, there are friends of mine who are the most amazing mothers ever, and I love that for them. It's what they wanted.
There are also a lot of people who can't give birth. And so if that were the metric of what it's like to be a woman, then you're naturally predisposed to just you're never going to get to be a woman like that. Or you never get to feel the depth of what it's like to be a woman because you were naturally born a way where you couldn't give birth.
That's
that just
point.
feels so unfair.
Do any of you ladies have children? Oh, okay. That's
And
fine.
just
For
a
babies.
food for thought for me right now that is just coming up is that I will never think of asking a man, would you feel less of a man if you're not a father?
So this is
Right.
more about fulfillment. It's not about feeling like a woman. It's about the if I asked you, is being an actor the most fulfilling, or is being a dog walker the most fulfilling? So it's more about the fulfillment, but not necessarily about your womanhood, if that makes sense. Yeah.
There definitely are people, I think, who feel that they're put on this earth to be a mother, and
absolutely.
that's their goal.
I think going along with that, when I think of fulfillment, I personally think that fulfillment comes from living and stepping into what you were put on this earth to do. And I think for some people, that might feel like being a mother, and that is definitely the reality for some people, but kind of like we've discussed, if that's not the reality for someone, I think they're still able to fulfill what they were meant to do independently of children, but I think it's also an option of strong fulfillment for some.
I feel pressure to conform to society's beauty standards. 3, 2, 1. Okay, can I hear from you on your thoughts?
Sure. I mean, I think like just working in the entertainment business, you automatically have so much pressure put on you about how you're supposed to look a certain way and you're supposed to weigh a certain way. I'm someone that loves food. You know, I hate that I have this thing in my head where I'm like, if I ate a big meal, I have to not eat dinner. It's almost like me punishing myself to make me feel better about it.
What about you?
I think in any society, people want to fit in, and I think that the way you look is a big part of American society, and I definitely feel pressure in more ways than maybe I would want to fit in appearance-wise.
I've noticed it's like so much about like weight, and I feel like that is, unfortunately, women have been a sort of property that's been, are you valuable, are you not valuable, to like be in attached to a household name, attached to wealth, attached to, so I think we're slowly growing out of that, and eventually would love to get to a place where we don't feel, or I don't feel pressured, because I don't want to feel pressured, but like it is unfortunate that so much of your career success, I don't know, like joy, getting to do things in life, sometimes people are just so cruel. They're so cruel to people that are in any way different or that make them even initially uncomfortable for what reason. And it's hard to go and feel safe, especially as a woman too. It's just so many layers to it.
And on this side, please share why you do not feel the need to conform.
I come from a family that's very comfortable with themselves. I have a dad who was very like feminist and you do what you want. I really haven't cared about how I look, how much I weigh, how much this, that, which I know I should, but it's just something that it's the men that I have dated, I feel like are the men that I have had the most fun with when I haven't tried. Mm-hmm. And when the men that I have dated, when I look myself or like, you know, feeling myself, those are the guys that always want me to be dressing up or want to change me. They start telling me how to live, go hiking with them. Like, yeah, I'm down to go hiking. I love hiking in nature, but if it fits in my schedule, cool. If not, I'll go watch a movie. Like, you know, I live unapologetically myself.
So I've come a long way. When I was in high school, I did some modeling and I was anorexic and it mattered a lot. And I never fit in anywhere because I was constantly moving. 1 year, 4 years, I never stayed anywhere. So it really mattered to me. It wasn't until I got to college and found the alternative scene where I felt like I was at home. And I got into punk and goth. I never got out of goth. I got into punk and goth, which is not your typical norm. And I actually love the look of that. And as I, get older, it's like, if I don't want to put on makeup, I'm not putting on makeup. I only need to look good to me. Mm-hmm. So if somebody else doesn't like it, or if I don't get a part for it, or if I don't do this, or if I don't, that's on you, that's not on me. And it's been a struggle getting there, because of all of the steps it takes. But I'm finally there. And I want to be able to look at myself and go, hey, maybe you don't look so great today. That's on you. But you know what? Who else cares?
That's right.
So.
Who cares?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I do not feel safe walking alone at night. 3, 2, 1. All right. Wow, looks like we all agree on this one.
Just last night, I was walking past a van and I was like no, you just never know.
Yeah, I mean, I have been followed back to my car at least 5 times. I was just leaving the gym one night and some guy followed me out to my car and started to try and get into my car with me. Yeah, so there was that instance. And then there was another instance where I simply passed this guy walking to my car after like a night out. And like I was beating myself up, but at the same time, I shouldn't have to be so alert. I should be able to walk to my car without someone following me. But he began following me and I had to literally ask someone else to walk me to my car, another stranger.
I feel like men have such a privilege that they can just walk like at any time of the night, like 2 a.m. and still walk and like they're fine. Meanwhile, like I'm like clutching my bag, like, am I okay? But I've just accepted like this is just something that, you know, as a woman that I've had, and other people have had to experience. And I really appreciate how women look out for each other. Like, did you get home all right? And that means a lot.
Yeah, my friends and I, when we go out and we take our separate Ubers, we're texting, letting each other know where we're at when we get home. Yeah. I think it's something that, for women, we're brought up with it. I mean, how many of you don't carry your car keys in your hand, ready to use them as a weapon? It's just something we do instinctually at this point because we're brought up to know that. You know, I think there's a lot of things that we do instinctually as women that men have no idea we're doing. It's not safe out there for us.
It'll be really cool when we're seen as human beings.
Yeah.
Because I think like the people that attack you at night, they don't see you as a person. They see you as an object that belongs to them or a creature that needs to know their place. Like nobody's like, that's a human being. I'm gonna hurt them.
Yeah, I think I don't feel safe walking home by myself, especially at night. And I've asked myself this question, and I think the most concise answer for myself is men feel empowered. Like you get to walk up to me and say the most disgusting sentence that should not come out of anyone's mouth, especially to a stranger. Like, you know, like people, like men feel empowered to talk to you like you're my lover or like you're someone that I can get. And things that I would never imagine saying to anyone. But men, I think, feel very empowered. And I'm saying men because those are the perpetrators that I've, in my life, like the people who I've felt harassed by on the street walking alone, their empowerment comes at a cost to me, and that is why I don't feel safe, because if you feel like I'm allowed to say and do whatever I want to, then I hope I can run fast enough, you know?
Men should pay for the first date. 3, 2, 1. Interesting. All right, let me hear from you. Why should men not pay for the first date?
It's not like every single case, but I don't think, like, I think that's something that, like, you kind of have to figure out for yourself, like, depending, like, on a guy-to-guy basis, whoever you're seeing. Like, I don't want to just assume that someone's going to pay for me. Like, I'm happy to split it. I mean, I do think that men should pay for all their crimes. But I think on, like, a first date, I don't think it should be assumed that they're going to pay. I do think that, personally, for me, whoever asked for the first date should pay. That's something that I've gone by in the last few years, but I don't definitely expect a man to.
I definitely think that if I'm fighting for equality and I'm fighting to be seen as an equal, then I would like to treat them, unfortunately, the same. I would love if they paid, like, and I would love to be like, you should pay, because whatever. But I want to like approach it with a different lens.
Yeah, I'm the same. I feel like if I want to be treated as an equal, I have to expect to take my portion on. And so should a man pay? If he asked me out, sure. If I asked him out, no. You know, my responsibility. I asked him out. So no, should he pay? It depends who asked who out.
All right.
Keep it equal.
What do you say?
I want to show, depending on, I'm dating someone because I want to build a future, and I want them to see that I have stability, I can offer stability. That's my point of view. Like if I'm saying like, don't worry, I have this one, hopefully there's a next one where you could then offer your services, you know, but it does not matter to me if I pay first, because again, I'm trying to show that equality as well. So if I can, I'll be that one reaching for that. Don't worry about it. I got that.
All right.
I kind of feel strongly about this one.
Okay, I want to hear.
I think in a heterosexual relationship where you're doing sort of a courting thing, paying for the first date is just a gesture from a guy. Basically says, you know, if I knock you up, then I'm gonna like be there. I'm gonna be around, and it's like an investment in the relationship. And I say this just for the first date. I think it's just a social norm that presents normalcy, and I appreciate it when guys do it, but if they don't, it kind of says they're not really into it that much.
Can I go bounce off of that? Like, I don't think that, is that allowed?
Go ahead.
What's the line there, you know, that you're saying? I feel like, yes, if you want to feel valued and, you know, treated, but if it's based off of like, I want to see if he can take care of me, if he knocks me up, I don't think that that's based off of a first date. They'll still run.
I have something I'd like to bounce off that too, and it's because I actually had a friend who did this. So I'm going to side with the men today on this one. I had a friend who were in the age of dating apps and such. She would go on dates to get dinner. Why should a man have to pay for her to have dinner 7 nights a week? Seriously. And it wasn't the same man. So if she's doing it, how many other women are doing it and not invested in trying to get to know them?
Yes.
I do understand the opposite of that though, because then it's like women would love to get equal opportunity at work, would love to get equal pay, would love to be able to financially support themselves, but that is that obstacle. So I think some people see that exchange as fair, because they're like, okay, well, you're in a naturally predisposed position to be in a better place than me. So if you care, then maybe you should like help lift me up. But it is that like bottom precedent of like, I don't know. Yeah.
Dinner's on you.
Dinner's on you.
Go ahead.
Well, I think men typically make more money in general, historically, but also with power too. So I think it is fair, like at least for the first date. Yeah, that's what I think.
This is a very first date thing for me. I am a little bit old school like that, because moving on, like if it does go on after like the first date and you do continue going on dates further, I will pay. I feel like the second date, I will make sure I pay. But the first date, I feel like I just want to feel appreciated.
Why will you make sure you pay on the next date?
Well, because I almost feel like I never want him to feel like I'm taking advantage of him. Like it's his duty to keep paying for dates.
Interesting.
This for me is more emotional than monetary. In my experience with men, I think them paying for a first date. I always have my own money, by the way, because my mom was like, never expect a man to pay for you, be ready. But she was like, but I think it's a gesture of good faith. And I think even in a small way emotionally, when a guy is like, oh, I'll get it. You're showing me, okay, from the jump you're showing you're already serious in this small way. And then, as a relationship goes on, like, let's do half, or like, I would love to treat you because I care about you. But like, also, look, I want to be treated like a lady. And like, yes, I'm strong and I'm all these things and I'm a lady at the same time. And you can treat me like one by paying for our first date.
Just a visualization. Help me out here.
A visualization.
Thank you. Of me sitting at the table, the check comes and he waits for me to grab it. It's like red flag, baby. Like, what stability are we talking here? Can you pay rent, baby? Or are you sitting at home playing video games?
I hear
That's
that.
just me.
I hear it. Women can have close relationships with men without there being any romantic feelings. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I want to hear from you.
It's been done way too many times where I befriend someone and either I end up liking them or they, or vice versa. It's just never, for me personally, it never happens. You know, there's always that platonic thing in the way.
Most of my best friends are guys. I've coordinated their weddings. I've become friends with their wives. I even had an ex-boyfriend of mine I lived with for 3.5 years. Him and his girlfriend moved into my place with me. So, absolutely women can be platonic friends with men.
Anyone else want to speak to this?
If I could stand in the middle, I would, because I have like parameters. You know, if you're single, I'm gonna keep distance out of respect. If you have a significant other, we can do double dates, or I don't know, I just feel more comfortable because I'm never giving you the wrong impression, I'm not crossing a line, and I'll be respectful toward your girlfriend or boyfriend.
You should be on this side.
Okay.
Okay.
That's right.
All right.
Come on down.
Anyone else have strong opinions about this?
I think as long as there are clear boundaries and expectations, because I have one of my best friends is a guy, and I think we have boundaries, and like I wouldn't talk to him in the same way I would talk to some of my girlfriends, because I think there should be boundaries. But yes, I think it's possible.
I do feel like that's another experiment because you have boundaries. I bet you if you put those boundaries down, you want to test it.
Well, that's the
just
real
saying.
question. If there weren't any boundaries that anyone is putting up, you're just friends. There's no boundaries to say, okay, you can't or you can. Will they fall in love with you at some point, or will you fall in love with them? Is it always clear that there will be no romantic feelings on either end?
It's like if I'm not single, I'm not gonna go out with you and get drinks if you're straight and single as well, out of respect. Unless you're gay, I will. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, I love a guy, gay best friend situation.
Yes.
Straight guys, probably
it can
not.
be complicated.
I have a lot of straight guy friends, and we've never crossed that boundary. It's almost like my brain categorizes people into like a sibling space. It's not even, I can objectively decipher that you're attractive, but like I don't have sexual feelings towards you. I don't see a life with you. I love our relationship for what it is, and like but I've always been very cut like that. I don't know. It's easy for me to categorize people
men are
that
men.
way.
And
Yeah,
you're
I
a
am
very
just speaking
beautiful
for me.
person. And I feel like if you just, I'm sure that they would be like,
I'm like, that's none of my business. But I have guy friends that, to my knowledge at this point, they also have never had those feelings for me, because it's almost always just been this dynamic of like, we're not into each other like that. There are so many situations where it's not like that. But I do have like a handful of relationships that I've had my entire life, and we've never felt that way. And I don't know if it's because we did know each other as children. So there's this like, we grew up together element. So just like, we never even dipped our toes in those pools. No, because I've met guys at this age also where our friendships have never crossed over like that.
I think you make a really good point. I think that, and I think this is for guys too, I think when you're more of chosen family, there's just an uncomfortableness even thinking about certain boundaries. Yeah. So, and I think that also goes for guys, because I mean, my friends were all single and we were hanging out and having drinks, and they're married now and still friends and friends with wives and stuff. But we were always like, we're like family. I mean, I would go to their family's house for Thanksgiving. Got to know their mom. She took me to concerts. So I think when you get to that family where you're such good friends, you're more like family, boundaries become kind of disgusting.
I agree with that. I think the familial feeling is what makes it totally okay, and honestly really lovely. Like, oh, I feel like I have a brother in this world, yeah.
And we're like affectionate in a non-sexual way.
Yeah.
Like I'm not afraid to rub, we're not afraid to like touch.
It's like person to person. It's not about the fact that like
Can
you're
I add to that a little something? I had like a brother in this world, and he is still a brother to me, but he's in a very serious relationship. He got married now, and it's like, out of respect for her, it's just not the same.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Over time, as we get older and mature, and that distance starts to like happen, doesn't mean I love him any less.
Right.
So yeah, I am on this side.
Women are more emotional than men by nature. 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's hear from you.
I think I expect more from women emotionally, just on a baseline. I don't know if I even know why that is, but I do. I think I innately trust women more than I would a dude as far as strangers go. Yeah, and I have to say I probably don't really know why. That's just how I feel.
I think it goes back to our beginnings where the men actually had to be the protectors because, wild animals and all. And I think that it's just our DNA has just kind of changed. I mean, I'm not saying men don't have emotions. They absolutely do. But I think that between our DNA and the way society raises men, I don't think they're quite as strong on one side of it, which is more of the empathy and care. I think they're stronger on the anger and I don't mean this in a bad way, and the resilience. I don't know if that's
like
right.
an animalistic way.
Yeah, and whereas we're more of the empathetic and the caregivers. I think we each have our own emotional strengths, but I think that women tend to be more in tune with our emotions, which makes us more emotional.
Thank you. I say yes just based on my own experiences living my entire life. The women in my life just tend to emote more when I come to them with situations. And like you said, men also, of course, have emotions, but I find the men in my life are less emotional when I come to them with things. Like if a guy breaks my heart and I go to my girlfriends, I'll have texts, calls, voice memos, really engaging with me and being there for me emotionally. But then the men in my life, I think, are there for me in a more practical way of like, okay, tomorrow's a new day. Like, sorry that happened. He sucks. Go, and they approach things in a much more logical way. And yeah, I think experience my whole life has shown that to be true.
I think men are just socialized to not be vulnerable, not express emotion, and they're actually shamed if they do express emotion. And I've witnessed this through like people I've dated, like friends, and it's really heartbreaking to see because I would want to be like, oh, it's okay to cry, but that's my opinion.
I grew up, again, with a very different way of thinking father, and he was amazing. He would tell us to feel our feelings and this and that, and my dad loves romantic comedies, and he would cry to movies, and he would show me that it's okay to, feel my feelings and say what I'm feeling, and I live up to him. He's my hero, and because of him, I believe that men should be, it's not just a straight line for men, where you're just supposed to hold up all these things. And I come from my mom's side, it's a very macho family, and then here comes my dad, who they liked, but they would laugh if he would go up and do a dance or go up and live his best life. So I live up to him, and I believe that all men feel just as much as we do, and they're allowed to.
Some of the most emotional people I've ever met in my life have been men. I think it all comes down to how we were raised, and a lot of men have avoidant attachment styles because when they're faced with an emotion, they see it as weakness or think there's something wrong with them. I think a lot of men that I've talked to are afraid to verbalize their feelings because they're afraid of being too mean or being categorized as mean. And so there's so much complexity to what I think is the male psyche and just talking to them. And so I feel very bad for them as well, because when we're feeling sad, we can just go to a dinner and we can hold each other and cry on a table. And I've had my guy friends be like, I wish that I could have that. That is, I literally can't even imagine a world where I could have that. So if we were to truly raise them all, men and women the same, I'm sure there would be some men that tended to be more logical and masculine, some women that would tend to be more logical and masculine, and there would be some men who were very soft and emotional. Same with my men.
Women would finally rule the world.
Finally. Yeah.
We're gonna do a big group hug on